I'm not really a big advocate of regretting previous decisions, but this story we're going to talk about this week, this is one that I think I might be kicking myself as well. Welcome into Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website. If you have questions about your retirement, and there's nothing wrong with that, do you want to find out more? Do you want a second opinion, begin the retirement roadmap process, or just to find out more about the team? WelcomeHomeFP.com made it real easy for you. It's right there in the podcast description. Click the link. Take you right there where you want to be. My name is Chris Swan, and I'm pleased to be joined, as always, by Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Gentlemen, good to see you. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing very well, very well. And, this is a story. I always think of the song Thriller. We're going to get to it as a Halloween song. But believe it or not, it's been 40 years since that song came out, and the iconic Vincent Price lent his voice and spooky laugh to the end of Michael Jackson's Thriller. Here's the interesting story about that. Price was given a choice as a payment for his work. Either take a $20,000 flat fee or shares of the album's profits. I don't know if it was a lack of confidence in how the album would do. We know how it did, but Price chose the safe flat fee and later admitted that he regretted it. Thriller sold over 70 million copies worldwide after all. Here's the thing. He went the safe route, but maybe not the best move. In retirement planning, investments can be safe, like CDs or money markets, or risky, like the market, of course. How do you measure a client's appetite for risk tolerance to come up with what is going to be right for them?
Well, that's a good question, Chris. But before we begin that, I want to see, since you've got a great voice, can you mimic his voice?
Oh, I could.
That scary laugh at the end?
There are certain things, Vincent Price's, there's no copying that. Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, so I remember being a kid watching that on MTV before it turned into not MTV.
What it is now, yeah.
Yeah, so he did have a little bit of scariness to that little laughter at the end. But when it comes to risk tolerance, going back to Vincent Price, I would agree that he chose the wrong option, but hindsight's 2020. When it comes to risk tolerance for clients or prospects or new folks that walk into our office, there's a lot of questions that we've got to ask because nobody wants to lose money. Everybody wants to make all the money in the world, and they want it 100% liquid, right? I mean, that's kind of where everybody is. Well, unfortunately, in one particular account, you probably can't have all three at the same time. So we've got to ask, number one, we go through the roadmap process because that will actually show us what they actually need for retirement based off cash flow and other things. But you also have to gauge, now more than ever, the emotions of the market. Are they going to be one of these folks that say, yeah, that's fine, I don't mind a little bit of risk, but then they lose $100 out of a $100,000 account, and now they're screaming to sell. We want to put it in cash because now we're afraid of everything. So everybody's going to be a little bit different. It's based off of their emotions, how they feel about the market, what they need, what they want. Everybody's retirement is going to look a little bit different. So there's a lot of questions to ask, and we ask a fair amount in the first meeting, and that's really the bulk of the first meeting.
Most people overestimate their ability to withstand those shocks that might happen with your investments. Just kind of give you an example. Everybody remembers 2008, but even closer to 2020 when COVID hit. Had a lady call up from our television program just in a kind of a panic. And she said, I really need to see you. I need to see you because I'm losing so much money. And I said, we set up an appointment the next day, but before she could come in, she sold everything that she had.
Oh, no.
And it was, that was on the worst day in the world of 2020. So she'd already done what she had to do in her mind. But guess what? In 2020, that market went back up within a few months. And
Very
all
quickly.
of a sudden, she regretted that situation. But it's too late at that point in time.
I'm a little scared of this question. I remember watching the Thriller video as a young man, and it scared
The way it ends with the
out of me. Oh yeah, no, it freaked me out. So, but we'll get rid of the bad memories. I mean, Tim and Ralph kind of both hit on it. I think it first and foremost it starts with a really open dialogue with the clients. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about who we are. We're going to learn about who they are. And through that open dialogue, we'll be able to get an idea of, where the client would be comfortable. I know we talk a lot about the retirement roadmap on this podcast, but beyond that, we've got several other tools that we will ask clients to utilize if we are trying to help them determine what their risk tolerance is. So we'll use those tools. And I think it's really eye-opening for a lot of clients. I've met many people that tell me, oh, they're super, super conservative. They couldn't lose a dime. But then we use these tools and they realize they're open to a little bit more risk, and vice versa. Somebody that tells me they're super aggressive, but then we utilize some of these questionnaires, some of these tools, and they realize, oh, I'm not as aggressive as I thought. So, if that's not something that your financial team is doing for you, helping you through these exercises to truly understand your own risk tolerance, I'd definitely tell you it's worth getting a second opinion, set something up, come in, meet with us, and we'll work you through this process so you can, at very least, understand what your true risk tolerance is.
Being fiduciaries, you've got to do these type of things for the clients, because the clients are depending upon you to use your best judgment to help them get to where they want to go. But, a lot of places these days, all they want to do is sell you a product, sell you stocks, because that's what everybody thinks they need to do. But you have to fit that client's needs and his objectives to his risk tolerance. Just because, I can tell an 80-year-old that he shouldn't be 100% in stocks, but because of the factors that I see, but it's up to them at that point in time. We've got clients that do not want to get out of the stock market, which is fine for them, but it shouldn't be for everybody. But you have to understand what that client's mentality is, what they're trying to do, and what their comfort level is. We can tell somebody that's 75 years old that he shouldn't be in a stock market, but he's happy with that, and he has enough money coming in. He doesn't have to worry about the ups and downs and the swings of the market. But guess what? Sooner or later, something's going to happen that's going to make you rethink some of that things, whether it's the market downturns or whether it's your health. Because guess what? If your health takes a downturn and you have to have a lot of money because of medical expenses and things like that, or have to go into a nursing home or assisted living, guess what? Those things are not cheap. And people need to understand that income is coming from somewhere, and you got to depend on it at that point in time.
And that's why it's important to reassess it regularly, right? So it's not just the beginning of retirement, it's through retirement and the end of retirement, right? So a lot of folks, we hear this a lot when they call in from the podcast or TV or one of the events, is they are concerned because, they met with an advisor a couple of years ago and haven't really heard from them since, or, it's been one annual phone call, not even in the office appointment. Things are going to change. Life changes, right? Your risk tolerance when you're 20 years old is different than when you're 30 years old, and so on and so forth. So if we reassess it regularly, we can make sure we keep up with the times, so to speak.
And I think Ralph hit on something there. I mean, I'd tell anybody out there that's working with a financial team, if you feel like you're not getting a tailored plan for you, you need to give us a call and get a second opinion. I say this to people that I give second opinions to all the time. We don't get to meet Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and they're this old, they have this much money, so they get this product and plan. We work it completely backwards. We want to know you. We want to understand your desires, your goals for retirement, and then we may use a product or create a plan that fits you, not you fit the plan. If you don't feel like you're getting a tailored approach to your retirement, you definitely need to reach out and get a second opinion.
I find it interesting that you mentioned that as the working backwards process, because to me that makes sense that that's how it should be done. I have to wonder, the risk conversation, does it look different now than it did, let's say, in 2016, 2017? Because I know from personal experience and talking with people were very, very comfortable, in the years after 2009 up till 2020, saying that they were okay with taking a good bit of risk because you could throw money anywhere and the market was just going to roll along. But 2020, pretty great reminder that the market does go down, and maybe people are a little bit more reserved or more aware of their risk tolerance, their risk exposure. Do you find that to be the case, or has so much time gone by, 4 years since 2020, that people have already forgotten about the fact that the market can go down again?
Yeah, I think people, we're all kind of bit by most recent history, most recent memory, kind of the phrase of what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, the market in 23 was up pretty good, but let's not forget that 22, it was down.
That's right.
Pretty bad, right? So you've got to make sure that no matter what the market dictates, that your retirement portfolio is going to sustain and you won't have to work longer, because most folks don't want to work longer, right? So I think it's big to reassess it regularly, because if we are 2 years away from retirement, that's going to look a lot different with the factors than if you're 10 or 20 years away from retirement.
For sure. And I'm definitely getting a lot of questions right now that I think people almost want us to become political commentators with the year we're in and, what's going to happen. But because of the unknown of a national election year, I'm seeing a lot of people really being adverse to risk right now, just because, it's uncertain who's going to be our commander in chief, what the monetary policy is going to look like, and how that might affect things like retirement accounts.
We do not have a crystal ball here, Chris, just so you know. The only thing that I can tell people is that you have to understand there are going to be some risk, but you need to minimize it as much as you can in the stage if you're near retirement or in retirement. Because guess what? Unless you want to go back to work, which I think most people around this table do not want to have to go back to work if they retired, it's not a thing that most people desire to have as a plan.
It should be a matter of choice and not a matter of necessity, having to go back to work. I'm going to use some extremes as an example for this question. If your balance right now, if you're getting ready to retire, if the year, let's say we got a 10% return on your investments this year, is that going to make a drastic difference in the quality of your retirement? I don't know. That's a question for yourself. But if it went the other way and we saw a 25%, 30% downturn in the market, is that going to make a difference in your retirement account? I think absolutely in that situation. And so, again, those are extreme examples of what could happen in a given year, and hopefully we don't encounter that latter. But it's a great way to show what people's risk exposure might be. And so if you don't know what your risk exposure is, or you don't know how you're allocated, that's the power of a second opinion. And if you find out, I'm actually more overextended than I want to be, being able to look at other alternatives, the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners, they can help you with that. You just have to take that first step and reach out to them, begin that roadmap process, begin that second opinion process. WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website. That's WelcomeHomeFP.com. Made it real easy for you. The link is right there in the podcast description. Take you right to their website. Also, under our social media pages, you want to find out more about the guys, the First Friday events, the entire team. Real easy to get in touch with. But more than anything, we want you to, be aware of the risk that you're taking in your retirement accounts, and make sure that aligns with how you actually feel, your mindset versus how it actually looks on paper. And hope you have a great week ahead of you. Hope you take care of each other out there. Gentlemen, appreciate you taking the time as well. And as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with the final word.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Well, number one, you need to stop doing the Thriller dance so I can finish off this segment. But we do appreciate everybody listening. If you don't want to make the wrong decision like Vincent Price did, I think we can all agree to 40 years ago, believe it or not. Give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you in the office and see what you're currently doing for your plan, see if that plan fits for you or if it's tailored for you. So once again, we appreciate you listening. Have a good day.
All content is for information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax or legal advice or provide the basis for any financial decision, nor is it intended to be a projection of current or future performance or indication or future results. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Welcome Home Financial Partners and Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC. The information contained in this material has been derived from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness, and does not purport to a complete analysis of the materials discussed. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to the implementation. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstance. Advisor services are offered by Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Virginia. Being registered as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Insurance products and services are offered through WPI Holding, Virginia Insurance License Number 138509, an affiliated company. The information contained herein should in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to any residents of any state other than the state of Virginia or where otherwise legally permitted. Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC and Welcome Home Financial Partners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.